Have you ever felt like you're carrying the weight of the world but have to act like everything's fine? If you're a man who's ever pushed down your stress, your doubts, or that quiet ache inside because you thought you had to be strong, this video is for you. By the end, you'll walk away with 4 practical tools to grow stronger in your mental health, not by hiding your struggles, but by facing them with courage. I've been there, and I want to share a story that might resonate, along with steps that helped me find balance. Let's get started. Society often tells men to tough it out, to keep emotions locked away, to be the rock for everyone else. But what happens when the weight of that expectation starts to crack you? So many men carry stress, anxiety, or even depression in silence, not because they want to, but because they feel they have to. You're not alone in this. Mental health isn't about weakness. It's about being human. And for men, it's about reclaiming the strength it takes to be honest with yourself. Let me take you back to a moment when I realized just how heavy that silence could be. It started one evening, ordinary, unremarkable, until my heart suddenly began pounding like a war drum. My hands trembled, my breath caught, my blood pressure spiked so high I thought I was facing the end. I stared at the numbers on my home monitor, frozen, unable to process what I was seeing. Was this a heart attack? Was this it? That was the first time I felt the grip of what I later learned was body anxiety, a fear that my own body was turning against me. And as a man, I felt I had to hide it, push through, and pretend I was fine. But I wasn't. Even after an ER visit, after EKGs showed everything was normal, after the doctor said, "You're okay," I couldn't shake the fear. My body kept sending signals that felt like betrayal. Heart racing to 140, chest tightness, tingling limbs, dizziness so intense the world didn't feel real. Sometimes it came with stress, but other times it hit out of nowhere. That unpredictability scared me most. I'd always prided myself on being strong, on handling things, but this was different. I felt like I was losing control, and as a man, that felt like failing. I became obsessed with checking my vitals. I bought better monitors, measured my pulse and blood pressure multiple times a day. I knew those numbers better than my own name. Every spike felt like proof something was wrong, even when tests said otherwise. I started to believe the doctors were missing something. They had to be. What I didn't know then was that I was caught in body anxiety, a cycle where my mind turned every sensation into a threat. For men, this can feel especially isolating because we're taught to ignore our bodies, to push past discomfort, to never admit we're scared. That fear took over. I stopped doing things I loved. Playing basketball with friends, lifting weights, even laughing too hard, because I worried it would trigger something. What if my heart couldn't handle it? Even quiet moments weren't safe. The sensations would creep in, whispering that I wasn't okay. I lived in a state of constant alert, always waiting for the next attack. I didn't trust my body, and worse, I felt ashamed for not being strong enough to just get over it. There were months where I barely felt like myself. I was alive, but I wasn't living. What made it harder was the pressure to keep it all inside. As a man, I felt like I couldn't tell anyone. Friends would ask how I was doing, and I'd say, "Good," even when I was falling apart. I didn't want to seem weak, but that silence only made the fear louder. Eventually, I hit a point where I couldn't keep going like that. I needed to change, not for anyone else, but for me. Slowly, I started making shifts. I cut back on smoking and drinking, habits I'd leaned into to cope. I opened up to my brother, something I hadn't done in years. I even started journaling my thoughts through a chatbot. It felt safer than talking to a person at first. I worked with a doctor to try medication. I began facing the things I'd avoided, like short runs or lifting light weights, giving my body a chance to show me it wasn't the enemy. Over time, those steps built something new. The anxiety didn't disappear, but it stopped controlling me. I could feel my heart race and not spiral into panic. I could handle a dizzy spell and still go about my day. The fear was still there, but I grew stronger than it. What I learned was that strength isn't about never feeling afraid. It's about moving forward anyway. Today, I still get those sensations sometimes. A skipped heartbeat, a moment of dizziness, but they don't break me. I acknowledge them, breathe, and keep going. That's the progress no one sees. I'm not perfect, but I'm not where I was, and that's enough. Men's mental health is unique because of the pressures we face. Society often expects men to be stoic, to fix everything, to never show cracks. But those expectations can trap us, making it harder to admit when we're struggling. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that men are less likely to seek help for mental health challenges, with suicide rates among men being nearly 4 times higher than women. That's not because men are inherently weaker, it's because we're taught to bottle it up. But here's the truth. Acknowledging your struggles is one of the strongest things you can do. It's not about fixing everything overnight. It's about taking small steps to understand yourself better. So, what's really going on when you feel overwhelmed, anxious, or stuck? Your brain is wired to protect you, but sometimes it gets stuck in overdrive, especially when you're carrying stress you haven't processed. For men, this can show up as physical symptoms, like my racing heart, or as irritability, exhaustion, or feeling disconnected. It's your mind and body trying to signal that something needs attention, not that you're broken. Understanding this helped me see my anxiety as a message, not a threat. Let's talk about 4 practical tools you can use to start growing stronger in your mental health. Tools that respect where you're at and build from there. First, let's talk about grounding through your body. When anxiety or stress hits, your mind can spiral, making every sensation feel bigger than it is. Try this. Pause and focus on your senses. Name 5 things you see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. This pulls you out of your head and back into the moment. I used this when my heart would race during a meeting or while driving. It's like hitting a reset button. Right now, try naming 1 thing you see around you. It's simple, but it grounds you in the present, reminding you that you're here, you're safe. Second, give yourself permission to feel. Men are often taught that emotions are a sign of weakness, but they're just part of being human. Start small. Set aside 5 minutes to write down what you're feeling, even if it's just 1 sentence. I started doing this through a chatbot because it felt less intimidating than talking to someone. You could write, "I'm stressed about work," or "I feel off today." The act of naming it takes away some of its power. If writing feels too much, just say it out loud to yourself. What's 1 feeling you could name right now? This isn't about fixing anything. It's about giving your emotions space to exist. Third, rebuild trust in your body through small actions. If you've been avoiding things like exercise or social outings because of anxiety or fear, pick 1 thing you used to enjoy and try it for just a few minutes. For me, it was going for a short run. The first time I was nervous, but when I finished and felt okay, it was a small victory. Maybe for you, it's shooting hoops or even just stretching. Each time you do it and come out fine, you're teaching your mind that your body is capable. What's 1 activity you've been hesitant to try? Start with a tiny step and see what happens. Fourth, connect with someone you trust. This one can feel hard, especially for men, because we're often taught to handle things alone. But opening up, even a little, can change everything. I started by telling my brother I was struggling, and it was like a weight lifted. You don't have to share everything. Just try saying, "I've been feeling off lately," to a friend, family member, or even a professional. If that feels too big, try a journal or a chatbot to get the words out first. Connection doesn't make you less strong. It makes you human. Who's 1 person you could reach out to, even in a small way? These tools aren't about erasing stress or anxiety overnight. They're about building a foundation, 1 small step at a time. Progress isn't a straight line. Some days will feel easier, others harder, and that's okay. Each time you try 1 of these steps, you're showing yourself what strength really looks like. It's not about never struggling. It's about knowing you can handle it. Here's 1 thing I haven't shared yet. The real power in this journey comes from redefining what strength means to you. It's not about being unbreakable or hiding your struggles. It's about showing up for yourself, even when it's hard. That's the kind of strength that lasts. Tonight, pick 1 of these tools, maybe the grounding exercise or writing down 1 feeling, and give it a try. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a start. If you want more ways to build mental resilience, check out my video on managing stress as a man. It's linked below. And in the comments, share 1 small step you're thinking about taking. You're not alone in this, and every step forward is a win.